Thanks for having me again. I'm really excited to be back in front of so many people speaking, having the chance to meet new people, see new faces, see old friends, get in touch, update each other again. And thanks again for the World Class Business Leaders to have me back after Cologne 1.5 years ago. It's going to be a pleasure. What I'll try to do today is to get more of a storyline going, be a bit more entertaining because we all had 2 very intense days, a lot of information about medical cannabis. I'm just trying to get you on a road down to the situation we're having right now. Let me just try. Wait, go back. There we are. So that's basically my kind of topic. I'm putting the eyesight more on Luxembourg and Belgium. Why, you will see in a minute. There's a lot of stuff to be considered. Everybody, or a lot of people, are talking about the German market, about the German medical market, what's important about the German medical market. But we have markets that are evolved far further than the German market. And I want to shed a bit of an eyesight on that part as well, and to give you a bit more of information, context, some numbers, some timelines, and yeah, just all a bit more easygoing because we've had 2 rough days almost. Key points that are going to be is Luxembourg actually has a head start on the rest of the EU, but the question is really why and how did they manage? Next part will be the possible changes. And I use the word possible here because we don't really know what's going to come from the changes that are taking place in Luxembourg right now. So I'll give you a bit of a timeline on that as well. Then I'll shed a bit of a light on something that's not as medical as the rest was. It's actually the tobacco licensing as it's going on in Luxembourg and Belgium, and how this could maybe influence the recreational market that's going to come in Luxembourg with the legalization, not only for medical, but also for recreational use. And in the end, if you can maybe take away something, what I would take away. So first, I want to introduce myself to anybody who doesn't know me. Hi, my name is Miles. Nice to meet you. Grew up in Mannheim, close to here, 1 hour ago. That's actually me speaking in Cologne 1.5 years ago. Really enjoyed that. I'm coming from a company called Grünkraft. We are producers, wholesalers for CBD hemp. You might ask yourself, why is a guy that's involved in the CBD hemp industry talking about medical cannabis? I'll let you know. I'll let you in on that fact in my takeaway messages. Company has been founded in 2017 by 3 friends. 2017, that's a bit more than 4 years ago. Now you have to imagine in those 4 years we've grown massively. We've grown into Luxembourg itself. We have our main office in Bern, and we're right now on the Japanese market with the subsidiary as well, totaling over 40 employees, which is, to my opinion, not as bad as you would expect growth in the CBD market. Now let's talk about the head start I was talking about from the Luxembourg point of view. I've taken the 4 main dates, put them into a timeline to give you a bit of a perspective. Because to see where we are now, we have to kind of look back, see what happened, and take a look into the future that's hopefully pretty bright. The reclassification of cannabis has been taking place in the EU just recently on an EU level. Luxembourg itself declared that at 1973. Now, 1973, I wasn't even born, and nobody was thinking about me, but they were already thinking about the reclassification of cannabis. Then we have, of course, the product Sativex. I think all of us know it. It shouldn't be something new, and if it is, it was 2012 was the approval in Luxembourg, the first THC-based medicine to be prescribed to patients. Now, in 2017, Luxembourg took a step further, and they decided, hey, let's start a medical trial. Now, this medical trial was set for 80 to 100 people. After they had 250 people, They had to stop it, and they had to look for further supply, which they then managed to get out of Canada. Well, where else would you get it from? So they secured it, they kept going. Now, in 2018, we had the announcement about not only the legalization for the medical product, but they are also actively looking into legalizing the recreational use. Now, legalizing the recreational use will only mean for Luxembourg people. So foreigners cannot go there, as some might know from the times in Amsterdam, where you just went to the coffee shop, you showed them the ID, you're over 18, come inside, have something. So that's not going to happen. So this is meant for the domestic market only. Of course, there's going to be some ways, but it's meant for the domestic market. Now, 2023, we have the question mark. What does the question mark mean? The question mark actually means that that's the due date for the legislation for the legalization of medical and recreational cannabis to be through. So that means the plan is in 2023 to have this through. Now, it was meant to be a bit earlier, but of course, with changes in legislation, there's always a bit of a time frame, so they had a setback to 2023. To give you an overall insight on what's happening in, or what has happened in Luxembourg right now, you can see all the different parts. You have the pharmaceutical cannabis that's been distributed through the pharmacy. You have the medical cannabis legislation and what's being prescribed. That's still the pilot that's going on. You have the recreational use that's expected by 2023. And then you have the CBD and hemp sector, or our sector, as I see some friends inside of here, which is legal. Now, what actually does this legal part mean? We'll come back to that a bit later. Still talking about the head start of Luxembourg, because we still have to understand the mindset and we still have to understand where we are actually standing. The head start was brought in by something that's pretty unique. A lot of countries, and I'm German myself, I know what's going on in Germany, they are not really looking for it. They are just letting it happen. But they are not really pursuing the way into the legalization of recreational use of cannabis. And even when it comes to the medical use of cannabis, there's always a lot of hurdles that you have to take. German patients, they can buy it for themselves, but it's supposed to be a medicinal substance that you can then not have covered by your insurance. That's kind of mind-boggling to me. Now, what we see in Luxembourg is they are trying to get this stuff going because they are realizing, hey, what we did the last 50 years did not work. We tried a lot of stuff and it didn't work. So they are looking for stuff coming from inside the parties, you could say, because this is a citation of the health minister of Luxembourg in 2019, 2 years ago. They are realizing, okay, we have to stop here, we have to change the course, and we have to go somewhere where it benefits us. They are actually trying to solve a problem that their citizens do have. Because you have the people consuming cannabis on a recreational basis. You have the people consuming cannabis as medicine. But if you just keep putting up hurdles that everybody has to try to take, you're forcing them into a very problematic situation when it's still more interesting to get your medicine or your free time weed, let's call it like that, on the streets. Because in the end, it's going to be cheaper for you. So when you're pushing people into that, you're not really progressing. And if you're not progressing, you can't go further. So what we can see with this citation is that it's coming from inside. Now, what we can also see, and that's the second point, for 2020, for the medical cannabis, they increased their budget from a planned 350k euros to over 1.3 million euros. That's more than triple. Now, what does it send? What message does it send? It sends the message that they are really trying. They realized we have 350k is not going to be enough. We need more. So they increased the budget. They increased the budget and they are trying to get it through by 2023. The change is coming from within the politicians, from within the government even. And you can see it's not even just one person that's trying to do it. It was a combination from Etienne Schneider, health minister in 2019, plus the justice minister. So they are trying to get everybody together, get everybody on the same page and progress. Progress through cooperation. Because you have to address those problems. The problems are there. If you're talking about it or not, the problems are there. But if you're not going to change it in your position like they are, who's going to? Who's going to? The black market is still going to be in the streets. The people are still going to have the problem to get their medicine from the pharmacy, maybe even because it's too expensive. So what's going to happen? If you don't change it from within yourself, from within the government, change will be slow. But we don't need slow change. We've had slow change for the last 50 years, and it didn't work. So, quick change, but directional. Work together, quickly, but efficiently. Now, this is going to cost something. And I like to call this the Colorado effect. It's more like a domino effect, but I like to call it the Colorado effect because we know the Colorado effect. And it's the head start they have because of all of the points that I was pointing out. They might be the catalyst for a whole reformation in Europe. Everybody is trying to legalize medical cannabis in some kind of way, while Luxembourg has still a bigger vision because they know is not only going to be the medicinal market, it's also going to be the recreational market. So if you're legalizing it on one part, but you're keeping back on the other part, you're just skipping your people. And they have to make politics for the people. So they are trying and they are acting, as we could see. And 2023 is still a bit ambitious, but I'm really eager to see if they are doing it, and I'm pretty positive they will. Now that's the part I was talking about earlier, the possible changes to come. Now those are all possible changes, and there are a lot of more possible changes, but I have some facts to provide you with that. First part is going to have a shift in law enforcement. Well, we saw earlier that we had the justice minister work together with the health minister to get stuff going. Now, if we have here a shift in law enforcement, what's going to happen? Well, of course, they're going to have to work together. The illegal markets will be shifting. So if you legalize recreational cannabis, the use of recreational cannabis completely, you're going to need some guidelines, and the illegal markets will be shifting outside of Luxembourg. Now, this is also proving a point earlier because it can be that Colorado effect, it can be that domino effect because it's pushing the boundaries out of Luxembourg and into all of those neighboring countries, of which Germany is one. So, might be even an issue for the German market after they legalize it because the black market is going to be shifting outside of Luxembourg. It's going to put this pressure on the surrounding countries because you have to handle it. You cannot just stand still. You have to act as they are. Another part that's going with the Colorado effect, we have seen this happen in the US. And everything that happens in the US is kind of adapted here in Europe as well. What hurdles does it bring with it? Not only for Luxembourg, but for every other surrounding country as well. It brings a lot of hurdles because drug trafficking, the law they enforce has to be adaptable and it has to be efficient. And you have to have the possibility for a quick change. If you see something doesn't work, you cannot leave it like that for 2 more years. You have to change quickly, efficiently. As I mentioned earlier, that's politics that's aimed towards the citizens, solving a problem they have. It's the needs that are being handled at that very moment. In 2018, those numbers are from the EU. 20% of the, oh, that's a typo there, of young adults used cannabis. And it was around 3 million daily users. Didn't find any more recent numbers. That's 2018. Sorry for that. If anybody has it, please interrupt. I'm really interested in that as well. Why is this slide empty? I said in the beginning that that's possible changes. Because how all the countries react, that's not up to me. That's nothing I can decide. I can just see the facts and tell you how I think is going to pan out. Because what we know for sure is that the change will come, and it should come in 2023. Now, if it comes, every surrounding country has to be ready. Now, if every surrounding country would be ready, I think we would all be 1, 2, or even 3 steps further, even in Germany, even with the politics in Germany. People are still talking it down. We've been talking a lot, and we've been hearing a lot about the medical market in Germany and Europe and the importation, and that's all fine. I'm all for it, don't get me wrong. But you can't ignore that fact. You cannot ignore it. It's going to happen. And you need to be ready. You need to know what's going to develop. You need to try to understand the market. That's why I came with the timeline in the beginning. They started more than 30 years ago. More than 40 years ago, they started with their thought. Realizing 50 years of drug policy didn't work, so we're trying to make the best out of it, and now they are still having the head start. But what is going to happen? I'm not in politics. If anybody knows, I'm eager to learn that as well. Another point that I was trying to refer to earlier is you can get a pretty nice view on a possible solution for the recreational use. I've been talking a lot about Luxembourg. Now we're going to talk a bit more about Belgium. You're getting a very nice view on a possible solution, how it could pan out, what you could do, and how it could be organized just by looking at Belgium. What happened in Belgium? Anybody know? Well, I know there's some people that know, but I don't think most of you do. That's why I'm holding this presentation. It's a one-of-a-kind solution. It's not only up to Belgium. Actually, the same stuff applies to Luxembourg as well. And I'm talking about CBD products now. That's a citation out of the Belgian law. So, what we can see from that is products that are destined to be smoked and have a THC content of less than 0.2%. They are considered as tobacco products, and so they will be taxed as such. Taxed as such is a very, very hard sentence if you know the taxation. 53.5% taxation on CBD products in Belgium. 53.5%. 10,000 revenue, half of it goes to the fiscal department. A lot of money to be made. So why would anybody skip on that money? I don't know. I prefer having money than not having money. And I think that's how taxation works. A bit broken down, but yeah. Actually, this law, and I have the date right here, is from the 11th April of 2019. So if it's so easy, why is not everybody doing it? There's a lot of hurdles you have to take here as well. First and foremost is being the taxation. If you buy a product, you have to sell it for at least twice as much to even make some revenue that can cover your expenses. Because nobody's working for free, not over a lot of time. You need a fiscal warehouse. Fiscal warehouse means that, for example, as a wholesaler in Luxembourg, for every single kilogram of CBD flower we have in Luxembourg, we have to pay a deposit of 400 euros. And that's that capital. That's that capital. Money you can never touch if you want to grow. You have to pay them even more if you want to grow. If you want to expand your sales, you have to pay more so you're able to stock more. Then you need those fiscal labels. And those fiscal labels sounds like a great idea. Practice is a bit problematic because you pay them upfront. So now let's make a small calculation. You have 1,000 of those labels for 1 kilo. Each is 1 gram. And you have the product. You have it inside your packaging. You close the packaging. You add the label. Now you've paid for the product. You paid for the packaging. You paid for the labels. But you didn't even sell it. And even if you sell it, it's 53.5% that you have to pay in taxes. Tobacco tax and VAT. I'm still 53.5%. I'm just trying to point that out. It's insane. What positive parts come from that? And why am I even mentioning this as well? Now we have the 0.2 in Belgium and the 0.3 in Luxembourg. So you have the 0.2% of THC in Belgium and the 0.3 in Luxembourg. It gives you a standardized process and an even playing field on government-set restrictions for smokable hemp products. Now, if we just take the smokable hemp and we cross that out and maybe put recreational cannabis, hopefully not the 53.5%, but we still can see that there's a system in place that more or less works, more or less. And it's providing a model for the whole European Union to take a look at and see how it could work. What I'm trying to say here is not that everybody should do it like that, but it gives you an insight on the possibilities of the market. Because once again, the recreational legalization is coming to Luxembourg, sooner or later. So there has to be a system in place to make that profitable for the country as well. Nobody's going to do stuff if it's not going to bring you money, at least if you're a country. So they will soon legalize it. We don't know yet how soon. What do we know? We do know that the recreational market is going to be far bigger than a medical market. We have far more people that are using cannabis on a daily basis than we have people that are using cannabis as a medicine. Not one is better than the other, but one is more than the other. So the taxing system seems to be working with some flaws that still have to be addressed. But we have to start now. You should start now, because everybody's talking about medical, and I really like that. But if we don't start now, if we don't put our heads together, and if you don't take your part of the pie, there's going to be people that do. And there's going to be people that have been there before you, and you will have to fight for your market share in the recreational market. Now, I'm not talking about the recreational market in Luxembourg, because it's going to be difficult to enter. It's going to be difficult to enter. It's not as easy as you would expect. But if the wave comes, and I think a lot of you are imagining this already, if one country starts and the other ones are going to follow, what is going to happen then? Well, we have a country that's going to start to legalize the recreational use of cannabis. So we are already in that phase. But who's thinking about that? Who's talking about that? Didn't hear that much on the conference. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking about that. Is it my core business? No. Am I going to take you on a trip, as I said in the beginning? Yes, I am. That's what I'm here for. So you better start now, and you better start early. Because if you don't start early, you will have to fight for a piece of market share that was easy to get. That's us. Get a piece of that. 7.5 tons of CBD flower 2020. Almost 10 million in revenue. 6,000 customers. We have the production, we have the quality, we have the mass, we have the distribution. If anybody really wants to enter and get a piece of the recreational market early, I'm still here for a bit. And I would really, really love to answer some questions if you have any.
So we have still 5 minutes, and the gentleman wants to be challenged with some questions. Anybody with a question? Nobody? Okay, then I have a question.
Yes.
So you said actually the tax. You don't think actually if the recreational market will go live, the tax basically will be implemented like this? Because from my point of view, if you implement a tax of 55 or 53.5%, the product will be so expensive that and there will be definitely some price war between the illegal and the legal market, and the illegal market will go down maybe to €5 a gram. So how can basically then the legal market basically succeed to take market share from the illegal market?
Very good question. The main problem right there, I think, is the tobacco tax. Tobacco tax is 31.5% in Belgium right now. That's the bigger share of those 53.5%. It depends on how they want to implement it for the recreational market. As I said, I'm not pointing out a system that you should implement. I'm trying to get a bigger picture of what's going on outside of Europe, going on inside the European Union, and pointing out how it's done with the CBD smokable hemp at the moment. As I said earlier, I'm not happy with that system. The down payments you have to do, the dead money that's just locked in those fiscal warehouses, in those taxation stamps, is insane. It's impossible to really sustain on that part. How the taxation system is implemented, I can't tell. I'm not from the taxations department. As I said, I'm just trying to point out facts that are happening right now around us and getting it a bit easy going on the medical part.
Okay. So maybe another smaller question. So basically, Luxembourg is not a big country, so it's a small country. So they are talking about legalizing it, like same like Macedonia, talking about legalizing it. But big countries like Germany and France, who are very conservative actually in this topic, or UK, also very conservative. Do you really think they will follow, or they will just wait and see for the next 5-10 years before they really follow? Because I'm not so sure if they will follow immediately, so they can maybe wait another 5-10 years before they follow.
Of course, waiting is an option. Waiting is an option on those kind of things. No question. Will they follow? I don't know, and I cannot tell. I hope they will, because it's going to help a lot. It's going to bring down the black market in one or another way. Of course, first, in my opinion, we have to think about the medical cannabis market. That's one of the most important factors. We have to get people their medicine. They have the right to do so. you can look at it at something like in Italy, you have the 0.6% unofficially of THC. As I'm coming from the hemp market, that's more what I can relate to. Nobody's actually following. We have the 0.3 in Luxembourg that nobody's actually following. Right now, the European Parliament is talking about adapting those 0.3% of THC and the allowance in that, expecting by the end of the year the real declaration on that. Now the Czech Republic is implementing 1% of THC in hemp products. We're gonna see how that follows. I think from the hemp market, we can actually see where it can go. But there's a lot of different countries. Everybody has their own part, and we're gonna see how it pans out. I hope for the better.